The podcast you are about to listen to is centered on a Christian psychology book titled Mind of the Believer by Pastor Jonah Okwudiri Jacob. For inquiries on how you can order the audio/PDF version of this book or the hard copy, contact Impact Media on the information displayed at the end of this podcast. Pastor Jacob is both author and owner of the rights over Mind of the Believer. Stay blessed.
Right now, as you listen to this, your brain is actively searching for threats.
Oh, absolutely.
It is. It's scanning your environment, your recent memories, your anticipated future for anything that could possibly go wrong.
Right. It's a prehistoric survival mechanism.
Exactly. Thousands of years ago, that hardwiring kept your ancestors from being eaten by predators in the jungle.
Which is great.
Right. But today, that exact same mechanism might be the reason you didn't get that promotion, or why your relationships feel strained, or honestly why you just feel stuck.
Yeah, you are essentially running modern software on ancient fear-based hardware.
It's the ultimate evolutionary hangover.
It really is. We are walking around in a relatively safe modern world, but our cognitive alarm system is still completely calibrated for that jungle.
And the friction between those two realities creates a massive amount of invisible suffering.
So much suffering.
Which brings us to the core of what we are unpacking today. Welcome to this deep dive. Our mission today is to explore the profound, staggering, and I'd say often entirely misunderstood potential of the human mind.
Yes, and we have a fantastic map for this today.
We do. We are using Pastor Jonah Jacob Okwudiri's book, Mind of the Believer 3, and we are going to dissect his central thesis, which is basically that our mental mechanics, like the invisible gears turning in our heads, actually dictate the physical reality we live in every single day.
What makes Okwudiri's approach so compelling, is that he does not treat the mind merely as some abstract, ethereal concept.
Right, it's not just poetry.
No, not at all. He builds a highly functional mechanical framework. He wants the reader to understand the actual anatomy of their own consciousness, and more importantly, how to actually operate the machinery.
Well, let's lay out that framework immediately, because it's really the foundation for this entire discussion. Okwudiri divides the mind into two primary, constantly interacting components.
The conscious mind and the subconscious mind.
Right. He views these as the two functional halves of the human soul. And I like to think about it through the mechanics of a car.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Yeah, if you are sitting in the driver's seat, your conscious mind is the steering wheel. It is the part of you making the directional, localized decisions. You say, I want to change careers, or I want to go to the grocery store.
But the subconscious mind...
That is the engine. The steering wheel might point the way, but the steering wheel has absolutely no power to move a 2-ton vehicle on its own.
None. The engine possesses all the raw brute force.
Exactly.
And that analogy holds up perfectly when you consider the limitations of each component. A steering wheel without an engine is just a stationary chair.
Right, you're just sitting there making vroom noises.
Exactly. And an engine without a steering wheel is a chaotic, destructive force hurtling in a totally random direction. They fundamentally require each other.
But Okwudiri takes us further, right?
He does. He introduces a variable into that engine concept that completely elevates the stakes. He argues that our subconscious mind is not merely a localized storage unit for our personal memories or childhood habits or traumas.
Okay.
Rather, it is our direct hardwired link to something he calls infinite intelligence.
Okay, stop right there. Infinite intelligence. Yeah. That is a massive, loaded phrase.
It is.
Let's ground that for a second. What does it actually mean for a normal person, going about their Tuesday to have a connection to something infinite?
Well, it carries an immense amount of philosophical and practical weight. Okwudiri uses infinite intelligence to describe this boundless universal reservoir of knowledge, creativity, and power.
So something that exists far beyond our individual localized understanding.
Exactly. He is proposing that the engine of your mind doesn't just run on the limited fuel of your own past experiences.
Right, it's not just what you learned in high school.
No. For the everyday person, this means that when you are trying to solve a complex problem at work, or figure out a way out of debt, or, create a piece of art, you are not restricted to just the data you have consciously memorized over your lifetime.
You have a conduit to a universal mainframe.
Precisely.
So if we take Okwudiri at his word, You are essentially walking around with an absolute supercomputer in your pocket, but you are utilizing it as a basic four-function calculator.
That's a very accurate way to put it. The potential is limitless, but our actual utilization of it is incredibly narrow.
Which naturally leads to the core tension of this entire book.
Yeah.
I mean, if we all possess this subconscious engine directly connected to an infinite reservoir of solutions and power, why is there so much localized misery?
Right?
Why aren't we all walking around living perfectly fulfilled, wildly successful, totally frictionless lives?
I think that is the exact question every single listener is asking right now.
Oh, for sure. If I have infinite power under the hood, why am I struggling to pay rent? Why am I, metaphorically speaking, stuck in traffic?
And this brings us to one of the most vivid physical concepts in Okuderi's framework. He argues that our conscious thoughts directly, mechanically impact our reality.
Yes, the boomerang.
Yes. To explain how this happens, he uses the analogy of the Australian boomerang. And it is a brilliant visualization because it takes a psychological concept and subjects it to an unavoidable physical law.
I love this part. So imagine standing in a massive open field. You have a traditional Australian boomerang in your hand and you launch it out into the air with all your strength.
Right, you just throw it.
It spins, it travels outward. But because of its specific aerodynamic design, it inevitably catches the air, arcs, and circles right back to the point of origin.
Back to the thrower.
Exactly. O'Derry says your thoughts function on the exact same aerodynamic principle. If your conscious mind, that steering wheel, is constantly generating and throwing out thoughts of fear, anxiety, lack, and hostility.
Those thoughts do not just evaporate into the ether.
No, they act like a boomerang. You throw a negative frequency out into the world, and it is going to circle right back and hit you squarely in the face in the form of a negative physical experience.
The mechanics of this boomerang effect are rooted in the concept of dominant frequencies. Okuderi outlines the principle that our dominant thoughts attract corresponding physical realities.
Okay, so if the dominant frequency you are emitting is one of failure or victimization,
You are essentially programming your subconscious engine to drive you toward physical destinations that validate that exact frequency.
that is heavy.
It is. But what is truly compelling here is that we do not have to rely solely on spiritual language to understand this. I mean, the text points to documented psychological backing for why we threw these negative boomerangs in the first place.
Ah, right. This goes back to what we touched on at the very beginning, the negativity bias.
Let's break down the mechanics of the negativity bias because it is crucial to understanding our own self-sabotage.
Please do.
So, in psychology and neuroscience, the negativity bias is the well-documented physiological tendency of the human brain to fix significantly more on negative experiences, information, and emotions than on positive ones.
Right, we touched on the evolutionary root of this, keeping our ancestors alive.
Exactly. If you are walking through the prehistoric jungle, your brain must prioritize the shape of the venomous snake over the color of the beautiful orchid.
Because the snake ends your genetic line and the orchid does not.
Precisely. So, our brains became physically hardwired to scan for threats, to hold on to criticism, and to vividly encode failures into our memory as a survival mechanism.
Okay, I understand the evolutionary biology of it, but let me push back on this on behalf of our listener for a second.
Go for it.
I get why I need to spot a snake, but today I'm not dodging predators. I'm worried about, say, a massive wave of corporate layoffs at my company.
Sure.
If I am terrified about losing my job and I'm obsessing over it, Okuderi's boomerang theory suggests I am actively pulling a pink slip down from the sky.
I see where you're going.
I mean, that borders on victim blaming, doesn't it?
Uh.
Are we really saying that if someone gets laid off or gets a flat tire or gets sick, it's just because they were thinking bad thoughts? Because that feels dangerously oversimplified.
That is a highly valid pushback, and it requires us to separate mystical wishful thinking from the actual cognitive mechanics Okuderi is describing.
Okay, unpack that.
It is not about pulling literal, magical bad luck out of the clouds. It is about the profound mechanics of a self-fulfilling prophecy, driven by a system in your brain called the reticular activating system, or the RAS.
The RAS.
Right.
Your RAS is basically a bundle of nerves at your brainstem that filters out unnecessary information so the important stuff gets through.
Right.
It's like the bouncer at the club of your consciousness.
I love that.
Yeah.
Exactly that. The bouncer. Now let's look at your layoff scenario.
Okay.
If your dominant conscious thought is, I am definitely going to get fired, your subconscious mind accepts that direction from the steering wheel without debate.
It doesn't argue.
No. It tells the RAS bouncer, our reality is that we are failing and about to be fired. Filter the world to prove this is true.
Wow. Okay, so how does this manifest physically?
Well, because your brain believes failure is imminent, your cortisol levels spike. You become chronically stressed. That stress disrupts your REM sleep.
So you're exhausted.
Yes. You come into work groggy, irritable, and reactive. In meetings, instead of confidently pitching new ideas, your negativity bias causes you to shrink back, avoid eye contact with your boss, and act defensively.
Because my brain is scanning the room for the snake, which in this case is my boss looking displeased.
Yes. Your performance demonstrably drops. You misinterpret neutral emails as hostile criticisms. You alienate your colleagues.
Oh, I see it.
And then when the executives sit down to decide who gets laid off, they look at your recent erratic, defensive, low-quality performance and they put you on the list.
So I didn't magically summon a pink slip with a voodoo spell?
No. Your dominant negative thoughts fundamentally altered your neurochemistry, your behavior, and your actions. You threw the boomerang of fear, your brain filtered your reality to match it, and you caught the exact negative outcome you were terrified of.
Okay, when you break it down into the neurochemical steps like that, it's actually terrifying how tangible this is. By letting that prehistoric negativity bias run the show, we put blinders on our own potential. We are literally orchestrating our own downfall.
We really are.
So if we are biologically hardwired to scan for the negative, and if throwing those negative boomerangs just results in getting hit in the face with negative realities, how do we stop? I mean, we can't just surgically remove the negativity bias.
No, we can't. And this represents the pivotal transition in Okuderi's framework. If you recognize that the default factory setting of the machine is causing you to crash, you must find a way to manually override the software.
And this is where the book introduces a very specific method, conscious autosuggestion. And I want to be clear here, Okuderi isn't just tossing around the phrase, think positive thoughts. He is proposing a highly deliberate, almost mechanical technique for reprogramming that subconscious engine.
To understand the utility of conscious autosuggestion, let's dissect the term. Conscious means you are fully awake, aware, and intentional. You have both hands firmly gripping the steering wheel.
Right.
Autosuggestion is the act of giving a direct command, an instruction, or a new belief to your own self, specifically bypassing the critical conscious mind to embed it in the subconscious.
So you're giving the bouncer a new VIP list.
Exactly. Okuderi's method involves deliberately selecting thoughts and affirmations that align with what he refers to as the Word of God. In the context of his spiritual framework, this means actively anchoring your mind to promises of abundance, inherent capability, and divine purpose.
So if your default evolutionary bias is whispering, I'm not capable, the economy is terrible, everything is a threat, conscious autosuggestion is the act of forcefully injecting a counter-narrative into the system.
Yes, forcefully.
It is saying repeatedly and with conviction, I have access to infinite intelligence. I am entirely capable of solving this problem. I am supported. You are actively choosing the exact aerodynamic shape of the boomerang you want to throw, rather than just blindly hurling whatever anxious garbage happens to be lying around in your head.
It is essentially a method of neuro-linguistic reprogramming. I mean, the subconscious mind, the engine, does not learn through logic. It learns through two things: repetition and emotion.
Repetition, emotion.
Yes. By consistently, daily, emotionally affirming these expansive, positive statements, you are physically rewiring the neural pathways in your brain. You are giving the reticular activating system new instructions.
You are training the bouncer to stop looking for snakes and start scanning your environment for opportunities, resources, and open doors.
That's it, exactly.
But let me jump in with another massive dose of skepticism here, because I know what some people are thinking.
I can guess.
They hear autosuggestion and affirmations, and they immediately think of those like late-night infomercials about manifesting wealth.
Right, the vision boards.
Yeah. Is Okuderi just selling another version of The Secret? Can I just sit on my couch, close my eyes, affirm to myself that I have $1 million in my bank account, and then just wait for the universe to mail me a check? Because if that's all it takes, I'm canceling all my meetings today.
Okuderi would absolutely reject that interpretation. In fact, if we look closely at his thesis, this is where so many popular modern interpretations of manifestation completely collapse.
Okay, why?
Because Okuderi insists emphatically that tapping into infinite intelligence is not a passive, wishing-based endeavor. Affirmation without action is merely delusion.
So return to our car analogy. You can point the steering wheel at your dream destination all day long, but if you don't physically take the car out of park and press the gas pedal, you are never leaving the driveway.
The physical action is the gas pedal. Okuderi heavily emphasizes that action is the mandatory catalyst that must be paired alongside faith and autosuggestion.
You have to do the work.
You do. And to illustrate the profound mechanics of this partnership, he doesn't just offer modern anecdotes. He points to ancient case studies.
This part is fascinating.
He uses 3 specific biblical narratives to demonstrate how this dynamic between human action and divine, infinite intelligence actually functions in practice.
Well, let's dive deep into these examples because this is where the theoretical framework hits the pavement.
Yeah.
Even if a listener approaches these texts purely from an allegorical or historical perspective, the psychological and mechanical lessons Okuderi extracts are incredibly revealing. The first case study he explores is the story of Abraham's servant.
Right. Let's set the scene for this one. In this narrative, the patriarch Abraham is nearing the end of his life, and it is imperative that he finds a suitable wife for his son Isaac to continue their lineage.
But he doesn't want just anyone.
No, he doesn't want Isaac to marry into the local hostile tribes, so he gives his most trusted servant a monumental task. Travel hundreds of miles back to Abraham's distant homeland to find a woman from his own people and bring her back.
Now, Abraham was an incredibly wealthy, powerful figure, and he had absolute, unwavering faith that God would provide this specific wife. He was aligned with the infinite intelligence.
Yeah, the faith part down.
But the wife didn't just magically teleport into Isaac's living room. The servant had to actually undertake a massive, physically arduous journey.
A brutal journey.
We're talking about loading up a caravan of camels, navigating hostile desert terrain for weeks, arriving at the distant city of Nahor, and then physically positioning himself by the town well, which was the central hub where the women would come to draw water.
Right, he had to put himself in the right spot.
The servant prayed and affirmed his belief that the right woman would appear. That is the faith component, the conscious alignment. But he prayed that prayer while covered in desert dust, standing by a well in Mesopotamia, not lounging on a rug back in Canaan.
The physical action was the strict prerequisite for the desired outcome. The servant had to physically place himself in the precise environment where his desired reality could intersect with his physical presence. Okuderi uses this narrative to illustrate a fundamental law. Faith and autosuggestion set the destination, but physical action bridges the gap.
The infinite intelligence might orchestrate the complex timing of the right woman. Rebecca, arriving at the well at that exact moment, but the servant had to do the grueling walking to get to the well in the first place.
You have to walk to the well.
That makes total sense. You align your mind, but you move your feet. Okay, what about the second example? Because this one deals with a completely different kind of mechanical challenge.
Yes, the story of the widow's oil.
Right. What happens when you aren't just looking for a resource, but you are in an environment completely devoid of anything at all?
This is a powerful story. It involves the prophet Elisha, and the stakes here are life and death. A widow comes to Elisha in a state of absolute crushing desperation. Her husband has died, leaving her with massive, insurmountable debt.
And the creditors are aggressive.
Oh, they are not just threatening to take her home, they're coming to take her 2 sons away to be sold into slavery to pay the debt. Elisha asks her a simple question. What do you have in your house? And she replies that she has absolutely nothing at all except a single tiny jar of oil.
Talk about the ultimate negativity bias environment. I mean, she is surrounded on all sides by lack, fear, and impending tragedy.
So Elisha gives her a very specific and frankly bizarre set of instructions. He tells her to go out into her community and borrow empty vessels, jars, pots, pans, bowls from all of her neighbors. And he explicitly commands her, do not gather just a few.
Okay.
Then she is to go inside her house, shut the door with her sons, and start pouring her tiny single jar of oil into these borrowed empty vessels.
And the narrative states that as she tips her tiny jar, the oil simply continues to flow. It fills the first massive borrowed jar, then the second, then the third.
It completely defies physical conservation of mass.
Right, it does not stop flowing until every single vessel she went out and gathered is completely full. And the crucial detail here is this. Only when her son says, there are no more empty jars, does the oil finally stop flowing.
Exactly. She sells the massive quantity of oil, pays off her ruthless creditors, and saves her sons from slavery.
So what's the mechanical lesson Okuderi extracts from this?
It's profound. It dictates the relationship between our physical actions and our actual capacity to receive from the infinite intelligence. The miracle The impossible multiplication of the oil was entirely 100% dependent on the physical action the widow took before the miracle ever occurred.
Think about the psychological hurdle she had to overcome.
Oh, it was massive. She was grieving, destitute, and likely humiliated. Yet she had to swallow her pride, knock on the doors of her neighbors, and ask to borrow their empty pots for no logical reason.
If we look at the mechanics of this, she was literally physically constructing the boundaries of her own miracle. She was creating the space for the outcome she desired.
Yes.
If she had let her lower emotions take over, if she was too embarrassed or too exhausted or lacked faith and only gathered 3 small jars, the infinite intelligence would have filled those 3 jars and then stopped. Her physical action dictated the exact volume of her manifestation.
Her physical preparation was the mold into which the infinite intelligence poured the result. Action creates the literal space for the manifestation to occur. The universe can only fill the vessels you're willing to gather.
Which is a huge responsibility.
It is.
The third example Okuderi uses is perhaps one of the most famous stories in history. The miracle at Cana, where Jesus turns water into wine at a wedding feast. How does Okuderi interpret the mechanics of this event?
In this narrative, a massive wedding celebration is underway, and a severe social and cultural disaster is looming. The hosts have run completely out of wine. In that culture, this wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a profound disgrace.
Huge scandal.
Jesus' mother informs him of the crisis. Now, nearby, there are 6 massive stone water jars, typically used for ceremonial washing.
And here is the mechanical key. Jesus does not just snap his fingers and make vintage wine spontaneously appear in everyone's empty cups out of thin air.
No, he doesn't.
He gives a direct instruction to the servants. He points to those massive stone vats and says, "Fill the jars with water."
Put yourself in the shoes of those servants for a moment. The master of the banquet is demanding wine. You are being told to grab buckets, walk to the well, and haul gallons upon gallons of heavy water to fill these enormous stone vats.
It was laborious, back-breaking work that seemed completely illogical and entirely contrary to the desired outcome. They needed wine, not wash water.
But they execute the command, they haul the water, filling the vats to the absolute brim.
And the text notes that it's only after they have taken that strenuous physical action, only after they have hauled the raw material into place, that the transformation occurs. The water becomes wine.
Okuderi's synthesis of these 3 specific narratives is essential to grasping his entire philosophy. In every single instance, human beings were strictly required to partner with the divine, or the infinite intelligence.
Right.
The servant had to endure the desert travel. The widow had to face her neighbors and gather the empty jars. The servants at Cana had to haul the heavy water. Okuderi's thesis is that God, or infinite intelligence, works through the conduit of our physical actions.
We are not passive recipients.
No, we are active, necessary partners in the process of manifestation. True faith is never merely an internal feeling or a whispered affirmation. Faith inherently requires a physical step into the unknown. You have to give the universe something physical to work with.
You cannot multiply 0.
Exactly.
You have to bring your tiny jar of oil, or your old pots of water, or your willingness to saddle the camels and walk to the well. That is such a fundamental, empowering shift in perspective. We aren't just audience members sitting in the dark waiting for the movie to start. We are the actors, the directors, the crew.
All of it.
Which bridges us perfectly to the next massive conceptual leap Okuderi makes in the book. If we are required partners in this process, what exactly is our fundamental nature? According to Okuderi, we aren't just the participants, we are, at our core, creators.
This is where his philosophy shifts from practical advice to profound empowerment. Okuderi anchors his view of humanity in the theological concept that man is made in the divine image.
But he does not interpret this in a physical sense.
Not at all. Being made in God's image, to Okuderi, means that human beings inherently possess the exact same spark of reality-altering creativity that was used to design and order the universe itself.
We literally carry a piece of the original source code within us.
Precisely. But what is crucial to understand is that Okuderi expands the definition of creativity far, far beyond what modern culture typically assumes.
Right. When we hear the word creative, we usually picture someone painting a landscape, writing a symphony, or, drafting a novel. We limit it to the arts.
But Okuderi argues that true creativity applies to every facet of human endeavor. It applies to rigorous scientific discovery, to complex technological innovation, to structuring a multinational business, and even to the everyday gritty problem-solving of running a household.
Wow. Okay.
True creativity is the divine ability to look at chaos or a lack of understanding or a blank space and impose order, function, and a completely new reality upon it.
And to substantiate this grand claim, he doesn't just rely on theological theory. He points directly to secular history. He provides an incredible catalog of historical figures as tangible proof of our boundless mental potential.
He does.
He extensively discusses figures like Sir Isaac Newton, Michael Faraday, James Watt, and Sir William Huggins.
It's an intimidating list of names.
I mean, we're talking about the absolute titans of human advancement. And I want to pause here because of how we typically react to names like that.
Oh, yeah.
When I hear Isaac Newton or Michael Faraday, my immediate knee-jerk reaction is to treat them like they are genetic anomalies, like they're mutants.
Yeah.
We look at Newton cracking the code on universal gravitation when we think, well, his brain was just physically wired differently. He had a super genius mutation. He isn't the same species as me.
We put these figures on an impossibly high pedestal, and the reason we do that is to excuse ourselves.
Exactly. If they are mutants, then I don't have to try because I'm just a normal person.
It is the ultimate psychological defense mechanism. It lets the average person completely off the hook. But Okuderi forcefully and methodically dismantles that narrative.
He does not view these historical giants as superhuman or fundamentally different in their biological makeup from you or me.
Yeah.
He views them simply as individuals who understood the latent power of their own conscious minds and made the grueling, relentless choice to actively develop that connection to infinite intelligence.
They weren't mutants. They just figured out how to turn the key in the ignition and actually use the engine.
Walk us through how Okuderi views these specific figures, because their actual histories are so much messier than the polished textbook summaries.
Let's look closely at Michael Faraday. Today, he is revered as the father of electromagnetism. His work is the foundation for the electric motor, which powers our entire modern world.
Right.
But Faraday was not born into elite academia. He was born into poverty. He had almost no formal education. He started his life as a lowly bookbinder's apprentice.
A bookbinder.
Yes. When he began proposing his theories about invisible electromagnetic fields, the scientific establishment of his day mocked him relentlessly because he lacked the formal mathematical education to prove his concepts in the language they demanded.
So he faced massive societal pushback.
Crippling self-doubt and the intense negativity bias of his peers. But he didn't throw a boomerang of defeat. He didn't say, well, the professors are right, I'm just a bookbinder.
He engaged his conscious mind.
He visualized the invisible lines of force. He tapped into that infinite intelligence to impose a new understanding on the physical world.
You know, the same is true for James Watt, right?
Absolutely. We credit Watt with the steam engine, which effectively launched the Industrial Revolution. But Watt didn't just have a sudden eureka moment while staring at a tea kettle.
Right, it wasn't just magic.
He spent years in agonizing frustration, facing severe financial ruin, dealing with leaky, failing prototypes. The existing engines were terribly inefficient because they had to be repeatedly heated and cooled. The problem seemed insurmountable.
But he pushed through.
Watt had to deliberately bypass his own despair and frustration, engaging his mind deeply until he conceptually solved the problem by inventing the separate condenser, a breakthrough that literally changed the global economy.
And then there is Sir William Huggins, which might be my favorite example from the book because it sounds like pure science fiction.
Oh, his story is incredible.
Huggins was a 19th century astronomer. Before him, we could look at the stars, we could track their movement, but we had absolutely no idea what they were actually made of. They were just mysterious white dots.
Right.
Huggins pioneered the use of astronomical spectroscopy. He attached a prism to his telescope, caught the light of distant stars, split that light into a spectrum, and realized that the dark lines in that spectrum corresponded exactly to the chemical elements we have right here on Earth.
He looked at a pinprick of light millions of light years away, and he decoded the chemical composition of the universe.
And Okuderi used a brilliant, highly accessible analogy to describe exactly what Faraday, Watt, Huggins, and Newton were actually doing. He compares the vastness of the universe's hidden knowledge, that infinite intelligence, to the board game Mastermind.
I love this analogy so much.
Let's really flesh this out for anyone who hasn't played it. Mastermind is a two-player code-breaking game. One player, the code maker, creates a secret code using a sequence of 4 colored pegs hidden behind a shield.
Right.
The other player, the code breaker, has to figure out the exact colors and sequence of those pegs. They do this by making a guess, placing their own pegs on the board. The code maker then gives them feedback saying, you have two colors right, but in the wrong position.
The code breaker then uses logic, deduction, and trial and error to adjust their next guess, honing in on the truth turn by turn.
So Okuderi suggests that the universe itself is playing mastermind with humanity.
Yes. The universe holds infinite ideas, infinite solutions to medical diseases, infinite technological advancements, infinite artistic masterpieces, and the solutions to your specific personal struggles. But they are hidden behind the shield. They are waiting to be deciphered.
But the crucial rule of mastermind is that the code never breaks itself. The code maker is never going to just lift the shield and hand you the answer. You have to actively play the game.
You have to place a peg on the board.
You have to formulate a hypothesis, test it, observe the feedback, adjust your strategy, and try again. Newton guessing at gravity, Watt testing a separate condenser, Huggins attaching a prism to a lens. These were just exceptional, relentless players of the mastermind game.
They were placing their pegs on the board over and over until they cracked the code. And this demands a profound level of active mental engagement. You cannot decipher a code while in a state of mental passivity.
I want to stop right here and talk directly to you, the person listening to this. Think about this mastermind analogy and then take a hard, honest audit of how you spend your mental energy on an average Tuesday.
That's a challenging thought.
It is. Contrast this idea of actively deciphering the universe with the default state of modern life. Most of us spend our days in a state of relentless, passive consumption.
Endless consumption.
We scroll endlessly through algorithmic social media feeds. We binge watch hours of short-form video. We read sensationalized headlines. We are allowing other people's thoughts, other people's creations, and other people's anxieties to just wash over us like a tidal wave.
It is the cognitive equivalent of sitting at the mastermind board. But instead of making a guess, you just stare at the plastic board while someone else shouts random colors at you.
That's exactly what it is. Consumption is the fundamental opposite of creation. When was the last time you actually turned off your phone, sat in a quiet room, and truly engaged your conscious mind to decipher a complex problem in your own life?
How often are you actually playing the game versus just spectating from the couch?
Okuderi is warning us that if your primary mode of existence is consuming the outputs of others, you are starving your own engine. You cannot be actively tapping into infinite intelligence to create your own reality if your conscious mind is entirely occupied by processing digital noise.
It's impossible.
Okay, let's say our listener is fired up. They are ready to stop doom scrolling. They want to be a creator. They want to crack the code of their career or their relationship. So they put their phone in another room. They sit down at their desk. They close their eyes, ready to tap into the infinite intelligence of the universe.
And what happens?
Immediately, within 5 seconds, a loud, familiar voice in their head says, "Who do you think you are? You're not smart enough for this. Remember when you failed that project 3 years ago? Remember what your ex said about you. You are going to embarrass yourself. You should just go turn the TV back on."
Ah, yes. The inevitable friction in the engine. The internal sabotage.
If our potential is truly infinite, the only thing actually stopping us in that quiet room is our own internal noise. Okuderi has a very specific terminology for these intrusive voices of doubt, fear, and self-loathing. He calls them lower emotions.
Understanding and categorizing these lower emotions is a vital component of his mental framework. When Okuderi discusses lower emotions, he is referring to the entire spectrum of negativity. Paralyzing fear, chronic anxiety, crippling self-doubt, bitter jealousy, unhinged anger, and heavy despair.
These are the direct psychological manifestations of that evolutionary negativity bias we unpacked earlier.
They are the boomerangs of destruction. But Okuderi offers a profoundly liberating conceptual shift regarding how we handle them. It requires a fundamental shift in our identity.
This was my absolute favorite paradigm shift in the book. He explicitly states that these lower emotions are not your true self.
We have a terrible habit in modern culture of identifying directly with our emotional states. We use definitive language. We say, I am an anxious person, I'm a fearful person, I'm an angry guy.
Like it's a permanent personality trait.
Right. Okuderi argues that this is structurally and spiritually incorrect. If your true fundamental self is a creator made in the divine image, a being intrinsically connected to infinite intelligence, then those lower emotions cannot be you.
They are foreign entities.
They are temporary intruders. They are merely obstacles passing across the screen of your consciousness.
It is the vital difference between saying, I am a thunderstorm, versus saying, it is currently raining on me.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it. If you believe you are the storm, you have no power to stop it. But if you realize the storm is just weather passing over you, you can simply open an umbrella or step inside.
And let's be very clear here, because we must avoid the trap of toxic positivity. Okuderi is not suggesting that you should live in a state of delusion.
No, absolutely not.
He's not saying you should pretend that negative emotions don't exist or that you will never experience genuine grief, legitimate fear, or righteous anger. That would be a denial of the human experience. He isn't saying you should smile while your house is burning down.
What he is saying is that you do not have to hand those emotions the keys to the car. You do not have to let them take up permanent, unchallenged residence in the driver's seat.
When a lower emotion arises, when you feel that spike of terror about your job, or that wave of jealousy about a friend's success, you can consciously observe it.
You can recognize it as a mechanical error in the system, a prehistoric false alarm, a toxic boomerang. And then, using your conscious steering wheel, you can actively choose not to throw it. We possess the sovereign choice of focus.
Which brings us to the million-dollar practical question. It is very easy for us to sit here on microphones and say, just choose not to focus on your fear.
Very easy.
But in the chaotic heat of the moment, when your heart is pounding against your ribs, your palms are sweating, and the anxiety feels like a physical weight on your chest, how do we actually execute that choice? How do we tangibly, daily cultivate a disciplined, creative mind that is robust enough to withstand the relentless barrage of these lower emotions?
Okuderi approaches this not with a superficial three-step checklist, but by emphasizing the cultivation of an environment. He provides clear directives throughout the text that all synthesize into one overarching concept: the absolute necessity of a strict mental diet.
Let's unpack the mechanics of a mental diet, because we all inherently understand physical diets. If you eat greasy fast food 3 meals a day, 7 days a week for a year, your physical engine is going to catastrophically break down.
You will be lethargic, you will become ill, and you will be physically incapable of running a marathon.
Okuderi is arguing that your subconscious engine, your connection to infinite intelligence, operates on the exact same principles of consumption and fuel.
Precisely. Look at the fuel most people provide their subconscious. If you are constantly feeding your mind a daily diet of fear-mongering cable news, toxic office gossip, apocalyptic social media threads, and pessimistic, cynical conversations.
That is the only raw material your subconscious has to work with.
Right. You cannot consume psychological garbage all day and logically expect your subconscious engine to suddenly produce a brilliant, positive, expansive, highly creative reality. The input must inextricably match the desired output. Garbage in, garbage out.
So how does Okuderi suggest we change the diet? He advocates for aggressively surrounding yourself with high-octane inspiration.
He talks about reading literature that fundamentally challenges and elevates your baseline thinking, studying the biographies of those historical figures we discussed, internalizing their resilience.
He strongly advocates for spending intentional time in nature, which is a way of physically removing yourself from the artificial, high-stress, concrete environments that constantly trigger our prehistoric threat responses.
He also highlights the profound impact of music, specifically focusing on music designed to elevate the human spirit rather than drag it down into lower emotional states.
And perhaps the most critical component of this mental diet is your social curation. You must seek out and connect with individuals who foster growth, who challenge your limitations, and who speak the language of possibility.
While actively distancing yourself from those who drag you down into cynicism and complaint, cultivating mental discipline isn't merely about standing at the door of your mind and fighting off every single bad thought with a sword. It is about a strategy of crowding out.
Crowding them out. I love that. If your mental cup is overflowing with inspiration, purpose, and connection to infinite intelligence, there is simply no physical room left in the glass for the lower emotions to take root and grow.
It requires an active, relentless, daily practice. You are the sole curator of the fuel for your own engine. And if you curate this diet consistently over time, you actually begin to rewrite the baseline operating system of your brain.
You physically move the needle away from the evolutionary negativity bias, and you lock your frequency onto the infinite intelligence.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the ultimate synthesis of Okuderi's sprawling work in mind of the Believer 3. If we zoom out and look at the entire landscape we've traversed today, the mechanical interaction of the conscious and subconscious mind, the physical reality of the boomerang effect, the reprogramming power of conscious autosuggestion.
The absolute necessity of action to bridge the gap of faith.
Right, the revelation of man as a divine creator playing mastermind with the universe, and the strategy for overcoming our lower emotions through a mental diet. What is the core beating heart of this message? What is the final takeaway?
It is a message of radical, uncompromising empowerment and hope. Okuderi's ultimate thesis is that we are not passive bystanders in the theater of our own lives. We are not helpless victims of our chaotic circumstances, our genetics, our upbringing, or the macroeconomic climate.
We are active, fully deputized creators.
We possess the staggering power to consciously shape our thoughts, which physically shape our actions, which ultimately and definitively shape our destinies. We do not have to wait for permission or the perfect economy or a lucky break to start accessing the infinite intelligence that already resides within us.
Okuderi is demanding a fundamental, seismic shift in human identity. He's asking the reader to entirely abandon a mindset of limitation, the deeply ingrained belief that resources are scarce, that you are inherently flawed or not enough, that the world is a purely hostile jungle out to get you.
He is asking you to step fully into a mindset of absolute, staggering possibility. It is the conscious, mechanical movement from a state of fear into a state of active faith.
And that profound shift must also apply to how we view our own personal histories. Many people feel hopelessly trapped because they know they have thrown a massive amount of toxic boomerangs in their past.
They have histories marked by failure, trauma, bad decisions, and broken relationships.
They believe their past has permanently disqualified their future.
But Okuderi highlights a crucial, liberating mechanical truth. Your past experiences do not have the power to dictate your future reality unless you continually allow them to be your dominant frequency.
Because the infinite intelligence is not a historian. It does not care what you did 10 years ago or even 10 minutes ago. It operates exclusively in the present, eternal moment.
Because you are a creative being at your core, you possess every single thing you need right now, in this exact second, to begin rewriting the code of your life.
You can choose a new thought today. You can take a new physical action today. You can gather new empty vessels today. The subconscious engine is always idling, always waiting. You just have to reach out, grab the steering wheel with both hands, and point the vehicle toward a new horizon.
We often look at the human mind as a murky, unfathomable swamp. But Okuderi has handed us the schematics. The mind is governed by clear, observable, actionable principles.
If you throw the boomerang of fear, it returns as destruction. If you provide the physical empty vessels of action, the infinite intelligence will rush in to fill them.
That's the promise.
So as we bring this incredibly deep dive to a close, I want to leave you, the listener, with two provocative questions to actively mull over as you go about the rest of your day. These are drawn straight from the challenging heart of Okuderi's text.
Yeah, these are important.
First, I want you to take a hard, unflinching look at the physical reality of your life right now. What kind of reality are you actively, mechanically creating with the dominant thoughts you allow, the beliefs you harbor, and the physical actions you take every single day?
Are you throwing boomerangs that you actually want to catch when they return?
And second, if Okuderi is right, if you truly possess a hardwired access point to an infinite intelligence, a limitless reservoir of creativity and solutions just waiting to be tapped, what magnificent, infinite ideas are currently hidden within you?
The universe is sitting across the table playing mastermind.
Are you ready to engage your mind, place your peg on the board, and discover what you are truly capable of creating? You own the engine. You control the steering wheel. The only question left is, where are you going to drive?
Where are you going to drive?
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep leaning into that curiosity, keep challenging your own internal limits, and we will catch you next time.